After 4,000 years of silence, humanity came back to punish the Galactic Council. Part 1. The Betrayal. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was beautiful. Crystal walls rose high into the darkness of space. Stars shone through the transparent ceiling. 700 representatives from different alien species sat in their seats. They were about to make a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Admiral Dohan stood at the center of the hall. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had served humanity for 40 years. He had fought in 3 wars. He had made peace with dozens of alien species. But today, he felt something was very wrong. The Council will now vote on Resolution 7749, announced the High Speaker. The High Speaker was a tall, thin creature with blue skin and 4 eyes. His name was Vorath, and he had led the Council for 200 years. Dohan looked at the resolution on his screen. His blood went cold. The words were simple but terrible. The complete removal of the human species from the galaxy. "This is madness," Dohan said. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. "We have done nothing wrong. We have followed every law. We have paid every tax. We have fought in your wars." Vorath looked down at the human with something like pity. "Admiral, you must understand. Your species grows too fast. In just 500 years, you have spread to 300 worlds. Your population is now 12 billion. Your technology improves every decade. And this is a crime?" Dohan asked. "It is a threat," said another council member. This one was short and covered in brown fur. His name was Krell, and he represented the Mordic Empire. "We have seen what happens when one species grows too. Powerful wars, destruction, death. We will not allow this to happen again." Dohan looked around the hall. He saw fear in many eyes. He saw greed in others. Some species wanted human worlds for themselves. Some wanted human technology. Some simply hated anything different from themselves. "How many of you have we helped?" Dohan asked quietly. "How many of your worlds did we save from disease? How many of your children did our doctors heal? How many of your ships did we rescue from the void?" No one answered. "We asked for nothing in return," Dohan continued. "We only wanted to be your friends. We only wanted peace." Vorath raised his hand for silence. "The vote will now begin. All in favor of Resolution 7749. One by one, the lights turned green. Species after species voted yes. Some looked away in shame. Others smiled with satisfaction. A few hesitated, but in the end, they all pressed their buttons. The final count appeared on the screen. 697 in favor, 3 against. Dohan closed his eyes. 3 species had voted to save humanity. Only 3 out of 700. "The resolution passes," Vorath announced. "The human species will be removed from the galaxy. All human worlds will be destroyed within 30 days. You will regret this," Dohan said. His voice was still calm, but there was something new in it now. Something hard and cold. "Maybe not today. Maybe not in 100 years. But one day, you will regret this." Vorath laughed softly. "Admiral, in 30 days, there will be no humans left to threaten anyone." Dohan turned and walked out of the hall. His guards followed him in silence. They took a small ship back to Earth. The news spread fast. Panic filled the human worlds. People cried in the streets. Families held each other and prayed. Some tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The Council's fleet surrounded every human planet, but Admiral Dohan did not panic. He called a secret meeting with the leaders of humanity. They gathered in an underground base on Earth, far from the eyes of the Council's spies. "We have 30 days, Dohan said. "We cannot fight them all. Their fleet is too large. But we can survive. A young woman named Hannah stepped forward. She was a scientist, the smartest person Doan had ever met. "I have a plan," she said. "For years, we have been building colony ships in secret. They are hidden in the dark spaces between stars, where no one ever looks." "How many?" asked General Yuna, a strong woman with short black hair. 50 ships, Hannah answered. "Each can carry 100,000 people. We can save 5 million. The room went silent. 5 million out of 12 billion. It was not enough. It would never be enough. "It is all we can do," Dohan said quietly. "We will send our children, our scientists, our doctors, our teachers. We will send the future of humanity into the darkness." "And the rest of us?" asked a young captain named Siok. Dohan looked at him with sad eyes. "We will stay. We will fight. We will give the colony ships time to escape." The next 29 days were filled with tears and goodbyes. Parents put their children on ships and told them to be brave. Lovers kissed for the last time. Friends promised to meet again, knowing they never would. On the final day, the Council's fleet began its attack. Thousands of ships filled the sky above Earth. They fired their weapons without mercy. Admiral Dalhan stood on the bridge of his flagship. Around him, human ships fought and died. They were outnumbered 100 to 1, but they did not run. They bought every second they could. "The colony ships have jumped to hyperspace," reported an officer. "They made it, sir. They made it." Dawn smiled. It was a sad smile, but it was real. "Good," he said. "Then we have won." He opened a channel to all remaining human ships. He also opened a channel to the Council fleet. He wanted them to hear his final words. "This is Admiral Doan of Earth," he said. "You have destroyed our worlds. You have killed our families. You think you have won, but you have made a terrible mistake." He paused and looked at the stars one last time. "Humanity does not forget," he said. "Humanity does not forgive. One day, our children will return. And when they do, you will learn the true meaning of fear." He pressed a button, and his ship exploded in a ball of fire. It took 15 enemy vessels with it. Across the galaxy, the Council celebrated. They burned human cities. They destroyed human monuments. They erased human history from every database. Within a year, it was as if humanity had never existed. But in the darkness between stars, 50 ships flew in silence. They carried 5 million humans. They carried hope. They carried anger. And they carried a promise. General Yuna, now the oldest survivor, gathered the people together. "They think we are dead," she said. "Let them think this. Let them forget us. But we will never forget them. We will grow strong. We will grow patient. And one day, we will return." The people listened in silence. Children who had lost their parents. Parents who had lost their children. All of them had lost their home. "How long?" asked young Hannah. "How long until we are ready?" Yuna looked at her with hard eyes. "As long as it takes," she said. "Even if it takes 1,000 years. Even if it takes 4,000 years. We will return." And so the humans disappeared into the void. The galaxy moved on. New generations were born. Old stories were forgotten. But somewhere in the darkness, humanity waited and remembered. After 4,000 years of silence, humanity came back to punish the Galactic Council Part 2. The silence. 4,000 years is a very long time. Empires rise and fall. Stars are born and die. Species evolve and change. The galaxy forgot about humanity. They became nothing more than a ghost story told to frighten children. The Galactic Council grew even more powerful. They controlled 10,000 worlds. They ruled over 500 species. They believed they were the masters of everything. But in the darkness between galaxies, in a place where no light could reach, humanity survived. Commander Hana 7 stood on the bridge of the great ship called Memory. She was the seventh leader to carry the name Hana, named after the scientist who had saved humanity so long ago. She was young, only 35 years old, but her eyes held the wisdom of generations. "Status report," she said calmly. An officer named Junho looked up from his screen. "All 50 colony ships are healthy. Population across all vessels, 97 million. Food production is stable. Energy reserves are at full capacity, 97 million. It had taken 4,000 years, but humanity had grown from 5 million to almost 100 million. Every birth was celebrated. Every death was mourned. Every child was taught the same lessons. Remember where we came from. Remember what they did. Remember why we wait." Hana walked through the great ship. The Memory was not just a vessel. It was a city floating in space. Parks with real grass and trees filled the central areas. Children played and laughed, not knowing they lived in a metal box far from any sun. She stopped at a school and watched through the window. A teacher named Minji was giving a history lesson to young children. "Long ago," Minji said, "our ancestors lived on a beautiful blue planet called Earth. They had blue skies and green forests. They had oceans full of fish and mountains covered in snow." A small boy raised his hand. "Teacher, why did we leave?" Minji's smile faded slightly. "Because others were afraid of us. They destroyed our home because they did not understand us." "Will we ever go back?" asked a little girl. Minji looked at her with gentle eyes. "One day," she said. "One day we will return, and we will build a new home." Hana moved on. She visited the science district, where thousands of researchers worked day and night. Human technology had advanced far beyond what the Council could imagine. While the Council had grown lazy and comfortable, humanity had worked and learned and created. She met with Dr. Taiho, the head of weapons research. He was an old man with white hair and bright eyes. "Show me," Hana said. Taiho smiled proudly. He led her to a large window that looked out into the void. Outside, she could see one of humanity's new warships. It was sleek and black, almost invisible against the darkness of space. "The Shadow Class," Taiho said. "Completely invisible to all known sensors. It can destroy a planet in seconds. We have built 500 of them." 500? Hana repeated. "Is it enough?" Taiho's smile faded. "The Council has millions of ships. We cannot win in a direct war." "Then we will not fight a direct war," Hana said. "What else do you have?" Taiho led her deeper into the research station. They passed through security doors that scanned their DNA, their eyes, and their thoughts. Finally, they reached a small room with a single device in the center. "This," Taiho said, "is our greatest achievement. We call it the Wake." The device looked simple. It was just a black box, no larger than a human hand. But Hana knew that appearances could be deceiving. "What does it do?" "It can shut down any technology within a range of 10 light years," Taiho explained. "Ships, weapons, life support, everything. With one push of a button, we can turn their entire fleet into floating metal boxes." Hana stared at the device. "How long have you had this?" 300 years. We have been waiting for the right moment to use it." Hana nodded slowly. The time was almost here. She could feel it. That night, she called a meeting of all ship commanders. 50 faces appeared on her screen, each one leading a colony ship with almost 2 million people. "Friends," she began, "we have been hiding for 4,000 years. Our grandparents and their grandparents and their grandparents before them lived and died in these ships, never seeing a real sun, never feeling real wind on their faces." She paused and looked at each face. "But they did this for a reason. They did this so that one day we could return. I believe that day is coming soon. A commander named Bora spoke up. She led the ship called Hope. How soon? Our scouts have been watching the council for centuries, Hana said. They have grown weak. They fight among themselves. They oppress the species under their rule. Many are unhappy. Many would welcome change. So we attack. Asked Commander Seok IV, a direct descendant of the captain who had fought in the last battle. No, Hana said firmly. We do not attack. We do not become like them. We return. We reveal ourselves. And we offer a choice. A choice? Bora asked, confused. The council species will have a choice. They can face justice for what they did, or they can resist and face destruction. But we will give them the chance to choose. That is what makes us different. That is what makes us human. The commanders nodded. This was the way it had always been planned. Humanity would not become monsters. They would not kill innocent people for the sins of their ancestors, but they would demand justice. They would demand acknowledgement of what had been done. In the following months, humanity prepared. Ships were repaired and upgraded. Soldiers trained for battles they had never fought. Families said goodbye to each other. Knowing that some might not return, young Junho found himself standing in front of the great memorial wall. It was a wall that contained the names of every human who had died on Earth and the colonies. 12 billion names, written in letters so small they needed machines to read them. He found his family line and traced it back 4,000 years to a man named Dohan. Admiral Dawan, he whispered, we have not forgotten. We are coming. An old woman appeared beside him. Her name was Suman, and she was one of the oldest people in the fleet at 120 years old. You are nervous, she said. Yes, Junho admitted. What if we fail? What if they destroy us again? Suman laughed softly. Child, do you know why we survived? It was not because of our ships or our weapons. It was because of our hearts. Humans never give up. We never stop hoping. Even when everything is lost, we find a way. She touched the wall gently. They thought they killed us. But you cannot kill an idea. You cannot kill hope. You cannot kill the human spirit. Junho looked at the old woman and felt his fear melt away. We will win, he said. Yes, Suman agreed. We will, because we have something they will never understand. We have each other. We have love. We have hope. And we have 4,000 years of patience. Across the fleet, humanity made their final preparations. Children learned the songs of Earth. Elders shared stories of the old days. Soldiers checked their weapons one last time. Commander Hana stood on the bridge and looked at the star maps. Soon, they would leave the darkness. Soon, they would enter council space. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humanity was alive. She thought of her ancestors. The first Hana, who had designed the colony ships. General Yuna, who had led the survivors. Admiral Doan, who had given his life for the future. We are coming, she whispered to the stars. We are finally coming home. The silence was about to end, and the galaxy was not ready. After 4,000 years of silence, humanity came back to punish the Galactic Council Part 3. The return to planet Vexor Prime was a busy world. Ships came and went every minute. Traders sold goods from 1,000 different planets. Soldiers of the Galactic Council walked the streets, keeping order. Captain Mira of the Council Patrol Fleet was having a normal day. She was checking cargo ships for illegal goods. Her blue skin was tired, and her 4 eyes were heavy with boredom. Nothing interesting ever happens here, she complained to her partner. Then her sensors went crazy. What is that? Her partner asked, looking at the screen. Myra's blood went cold. A massive fleet had appeared from nowhere. Hundreds of ships, black as night, had surrounded the planet in seconds. They made no sound. They gave no warning. They simply appeared. Unknown vessels, Myra said into her communication device, her voice shaking. "Identify yourselves immediately." For a long moment, there was only silence. Then a voice spoke. It was calm and clear, speaking in perfect galactic common. "This is Captain Seok of the human fleet. We have returned." Mira laughed nervously. "Human? Is this some kind of joke?" "Humans have been dead for 4,000 years. We are very much alive," the voice replied. "Please inform your leaders. We wish to speak with the Galactic Council." On the planet below, people looked up at the sky. They could see the dark shapes of ships blocking the stars. Fear spread quickly. The word human had not been spoken in thousands of years, but some still remembered the old stories. "The monsters have returned," some whispered. "The ghosts of the past have come back." Commander Hannah watched from the bridge of the memory. She saw the panic spreading across the planet. She saw ships trying to flee. She saw soldiers running to their posts. "They are afraid," Junho said beside her. "They should be," Hannah replied. "But we will not attack civilians. Send the message to all channels." Junho pressed a button, and Hannah's voice went out to every radio, every screen, every device on the planet and beyond. "People of the galaxy," she said, "I am Commander Hannah of the Human Remnant. 4,000 years ago, the Galactic Council voted to destroy our species. They burned our worlds. They killed 12 billion of our people. They tried to erase us from history." She paused, letting her words sink in. "They failed. We survived. We hid in the darkness between galaxies. We grew strong. We learned. We waited. And now we have returned." Across the galaxy, billions of beings stopped what they were doing. They listened to the impossible voice. Many did not believe it. Many thought it was a trick. "We do not come for revenge against innocent people," Hannah continued. "We come for justice. The leaders who ordered our destruction are long dead, but their governments remain. Their institutions remain. And they must answer for what was done." On the Council homeworld, far across the galaxy, alarms were ringing. High Speaker Vorath the 12th leader to carry that name, rushed to the emergency chamber. Other council members were already there, their faces filled with shock. "This is impossible," one of them said. "The humans were completely destroyed. We checked. We made sure." "Apparently, we did not check well enough," Vorath said grimly. He activated the main screen and saw the fleet surrounding Vexor Prime. "How many ships?" "Our sensors count approximately 2,000, an officer reported. "But their technology is strange. We cannot get accurate readings." 2,000 is nothing," said General Krell 7, a descendant of the original Krell who had voted for human extinction. "We have millions of ships. We will crush them easily." Vorath was not so sure. There was something about those black ships that made him uneasy. "Send the Third Fleet to Vexor Prime," he ordered. 100,000 ships. That should be enough to deal with this problem. Back at Vexor Prime, Hannah received word of the incoming fleet. 100,000 ships, Junho reported. "They will arrive in 6 hours." "Good," Hannah said. "Let them come. It is time to show them what we have learned." The hours passed slowly. The people on Vexor Prime watched and waited. Some tried to escape, but the human ships let them go. They were not interested in civilians. When the Council fleet arrived, it was an impressive sight. 100,000 warships, each one bristling with weapons. They formed a massive wall in space, ready to destroy the tiny human fleet. Admiral Kira of the Council fleet smiled confidently. "Unknown vessels, this is your final warning. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Hannah appeared on his screen. She was a small woman with dark hair and calm eyes. She did not look afraid. "Admiral," she said politely, "I would like to offer you a chance to withdraw. Your fleet cannot defeat us. If you attack, your ships will be destroyed. Your crews will die. Please, do not make this mistake." Kira laughed. "You have 2,000 ships. We have 100,000. The mathematics are simple." "Yes," Hana agreed. "They are." She nodded to Dr. Taiho, who stood at a control panel with the wake device in his hands. "Fire everything," Kira ordered. 100,000 ships fired at once. The sky lit up with energy beams and missiles and plasma fire. It was enough firepower to destroy a planet, but the human ships simply vanished. "What?" Kira shouted. "Where did they go?" "They are still there, sir," an officer said, confused. "Our weapons passed right through them." The human ships flickered back into view. They had not moved at all. The attack had done nothing. "Phase technology," Taiho said proudly from his station. "We can shift our ships slightly out of normal space. Their weapons cannot touch us." Hana leaned forward. "Admiral Kira, that was your one chance. Now it is our turn." She gave the signal, and Taiho activated the wake. A wave of energy spread out from the human fleet. It was invisible, but its effects were immediate. Every ship in the Council fleet went dark. Engines stopped. Weapons powered down. Life support failed. 100,000 ships became dead metal floating in space. "What have you done?" Kira screamed, but no one could hear him. His communication systems were dead. Hana opened a channel to all the disabled ships. "Your crews have approximately 2 hours of air remaining. We are sending rescue ships to collect your people. They will not be harmed. But your fleet no longer exists." On the Council homeworld, Varath watched in horror as his entire third fleet was disabled in seconds. The humans had not fired a single weapon. They had simply turned everything off. "Send another fleet," General Krell demanded. "Send 10 fleets. And lose them all?" Varath said quietly. "You saw what happened. They did not even try. This was a demonstration." He slumped in his chair. For the first time in his long life, he felt true fear. "What do they want?" He asked Dot, as if hearing his question. Hana's voice filled the chamber. "High Speaker Varath, we know you are listening. We do not want war. We want justice. The humans who died 4,000 years ago deserve to be remembered. The crime that was committed must be acknowledged. We request a meeting of the full Galactic Council. If you refuse, we will come to you, and we will not be as gentle." The message ended. Varath looked around the chamber at the faces of the other council members. He saw fear. He saw anger. He saw confusion. "What do we do?" One of them asked. Varath closed his eyes. The ghosts of the past had returned, and they were stronger than anyone had imagined. "We talk," he said finally. "We have no other choice." Across the galaxy, word spread quickly. The humans were back. The impossible had happened. The dead had risen. On Vexor Prime, Hana stood at her window and looked at the stars. "We have done it," Jinho said. "They are afraid of us." "Fear is not enough," Hana replied. "We need them to understand. We need them to remember. Only then can there be true peace." Jinho nodded. "And if they refuse?" Hana turned to look at him. Her eyes were sad but determined. "Then we will make them remember. Whatever it takes." The return had begun, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. After 4,000 years of silence, humanity came back to punish the Galactic Council Part 4, The Reckoning. The Galactic Council met for the first time in 300 years. All 700 species sent their representatives to the Great Hall. The crystal walls that had once witnessed humanity's death sentence now witnessed something else entirely. Commander Anna walked into the hall with her head held high. Behind her came 12 human officers, including Junho, Dr. Taiho, and Commander Bora. They wore simple black uniforms with no decorations. They needed no medals to prove their worth. The chamber was completely silent. 700 alien species stared at the small group of humans. Many had never seen a human before. They had only heard stories, legends of monsters and demons, but the humans who walked before them did not look like monsters. They looked tired. They looked sad. They looked determined. Vorath stood at his podium, trying to maintain his dignity. "Commander Hanna, the Council has agreed to hear your demands." "They are not demands," Hanna said calmly. "They are requests for justice." She turned to face the gathered representatives. Many could not meet her eyes. 4,000 years ago, this council voted to kill my people. 12 billion humans died. Children, mothers, fathers, grandparents. Artists, scientists, teachers, farmers. They were not soldiers. They were not criminals. They were simply humans, and you killed them for that. Her voice did not rise. It did not shake. It was simply a statement of fact. "We have come for 3 things. First, we want acknowledgement. The Council must admit what it did. No more hiding. No more lies. The truth must be told." Vorath nodded slowly. "And the second? We want remembrance. A memorial will be built. The names of all 12 billion humans will be recorded. Future generations must learn what happened here, so it never happens again." "And the third?" asked General Krell 7, his voice hostile. Hanna turned to look at him. "Justice. Not revenge. Not death. But the species who voted for our destruction must make amends. They must help us rebuild. They must support the species they have oppressed." "Oppressed?" Krell laughed. "We have brought peace and order to the galaxy." "You have brought slavery and fear," Hanna replied. "Do you think we've been sitting in darkness for 4,000 years doing nothing? We have watched. We have learned. We know everything." She pressed a button on her wrist, and a hologram appeared in the center of the hall. It showed images of alien species being forced to work in mines. It showed children being taken from their parents. It showed soldiers beating innocent people. "The Mordic Empire alone has enslaved 14 species," Hanna said. "The Vorath Dominion has stolen resources from 100 worlds. The Council has allowed this because it benefits them." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives shouted denials. Others shouted accusations at their neighbors. The truth that had been hidden for so long was finally coming out. "Silence," Vorath commanded, but his voice was weak. He had no power anymore. Everyone knew it. Hanna raised her hand, and her officers activated a device. A low hum filled the room, and suddenly everyone stopped talking. They could not move. "This is a temporary paralysis field," Hanna explained. "It will wear off in a few minutes. Please listen carefully." She walked among the frozen representatives, looking at each one. "We could destroy you. Our technology is far beyond yours. Our ships cannot be touched by your weapons. Our soldiers have trained for 4,000 years. We could burn your worlds the same way you burned ours." She stopped in front of Krell. "But we will not, because we are not like you. We do not kill innocents for the crimes of their ancestors. We do not punish children for the sins of their fathers." The paralysis field faded, and the representatives could move again. Many were shaking with fear. A few were crying. "However," Hanna continued, "we will free the oppressed. Starting now." As if on cue, reports began coming in from across the galaxy. Human ships had appeared at slave worlds. They had disabled the guards and opened the prisons. Millions of enslaved beings were being freed. "What have you done?" Vorath gasped. "We have done what the Council should have done long ago," Hanna said. "We have brought real justice." Commander Bora stepped forward with a tablet. "We are also sharing technology. Medical technology that can cure diseases the Council has no treatment for. Agricultural technology that can feed hungry worlds. Energy technology that can power civilizations for millions of years. Why? Asked a small representative from a species called the Dreen. They were one of the 3 species who had voted against destroying humanity. Why would you help those who hurt you? Hana smiled at him gently. Because we want to be better. We have had 4,000 years to think about revenge. We planned countless ways to destroy the Council. We imagined burning their worlds and watching them suffer. She shook her head slowly. But that is not who we want to be. Our ancestors did not sacrifice themselves so we could become monsters. They died so we could live. And living means more than just surviving. It means building. It means growing. It means forgiving. The Dreen representative had tears in his eyes. The humans I knew 4,000 years ago were good people. I am glad to see you are still the same. Not all of us agree with this approach, Junho said honestly. Many humans want revenge. They want to see the Council burn. It has been difficult to choose the path of peace. Then why did you choose it? Vorath asked quietly. Hannah looked at the high speaker. For a moment, she did not see an enemy. She saw a tired old being who had inherited a terrible legacy. Because hatred destroys the one who hates, she said. If we spend our lives seeking revenge, we would lose ourselves. We would become the very thing we hate. And our ancestors would have died for nothing. She walked back to stand before the Council. We offer you a choice. Join us in building a new galaxy. A fair galaxy. A just galaxy. Help us undo the damage that has been done. Or refuse and watch as the species you have oppressed rise up against you without our protection. Protection? Krell laughed bitterly. You threaten us and call it protection? We do not threaten, Commander Bohr said. We simply tell you the truth. There are many species who have been waiting for a chance to fight back against the Council. We have been talking to them. They are ready to rise. If you work with us, we will ensure the transition is peaceful. If you do not, she shrugged. We cannot control what happens. The Council representatives looked at each other. They understood. The humans were not just offering a choice. They were offering a last chance. How long do we have to decide? Vorath asked. 30 days, Hana said. The same time you gave us before you destroyed our worlds. She turned and walked toward the exit. Her officers followed her. One more thing, she said, stopping at the door. The species who voted against our destruction will be honored. The Dreen, the Kalish, and the Rovan. You stood for us when no one else would. We have not forgotten. We never will. The Dreen representative openly wept. The Kalish bowed deeply. The Rovan simply nodded with dignity. Hannah left the chamber. In the following days, chaos spread through the Council. Some species wanted to fight. Others wanted to surrender. Many wanted to negotiate. But slowly, one by one, they began to accept the truth. The old order was over. The humans had returned, and nothing would ever be the same. On the human flagship, Junho found Hana standing alone in the observation deck, looking at the stars. Do you think they will accept? He asked. Most of them, Hana said. The smart ones. The ones who see the future, and the ones who refuse? Hana sighed. They will learn. One way or another. Junho stood beside her in silence. After a long moment, he spoke again. I always wondered what it would feel like. This moment. The moment when we finally face them. And how does it feel? Junho thought about it. Empty, he admitted. I thought I would feel happy, triumphant, but I just feel tired. Hana nodded. That is because victory is not about defeating your enemies. It is about building something better. And we have only just begun. She turned to face him. Our real work starts now. Rebuilding, healing, creating a galaxy where what happened to us can never happen again. That is true victory. Junho looked at his commander with new respect. You really believe we can do it? Hannah smiled. We survived 4,000 years in the darkness. We can do anything. Outside the window, the stars shone bright. And for the first time in 4,000 years, humanity could see them clearly. The reckoning was over. The rebuilding was about to begin. After 4,000 years of silence, humanity came back to punish the Galactic Council Part 5. The New Order. 1 year had passed since humanity's return. The galaxy had changed more in those 12 months than in the previous 1,000 years. The old Galactic Council building still stood, but it was no longer a place of fear. It had been transformed into the Hall of Memory, a memorial for all the species who had suffered under the old regime. 12 billion human names covered the walls. Millions more names from enslaved species had been added beside them. Commander Hana stood before the new governing body. It was called the Galactic Assembly, and it was different from the old council in every way. Every species had an equal vote, not just the powerful ones. Decisions required a 2/3 majority, and any resolution that called for violence against civilians was automatically forbidden. The vote is complete, announced the new speaker. A young dream named Vela. The motion passes. High Commander Taiho will lead the peacekeeping forces of the new assembly. Taiho, now an old man of 90 years, walked forward to accept the position. He had spent his whole life building weapons for revenge. Now he would use those same skills to protect peace. I accept this responsibility, he said in his quiet voice. I promise to protect all species equally. No one will be destroyed for being different. No one will be erased for being weak. Those days are over. The assembly chamber erupted in applause. Species that had hated each other for centuries now sat side by side. Former slaves sat next to former masters. And in the center of it all, humanity stood as the guardians of a new era. Outside the hall, Junho walked through the streets of the new capital city. It had been built on a planet that once belonged to the Mordak Empire. Now it belonged to everyone. Buildings rose high into the purple sky, designed by architects from 50 different species working together. He stopped at a small park and sat on a bench. Children of various species played together, laughing and running. They did not know the old hatreds. They did not carry the old pain. They were the first generation of the new galaxy. An old woman sat down beside him. It took him a moment to recognize her. Commander Hannah, he said, surprised. I did not expect to see you here. Hannah smiled. She no longer wore her uniform. She was dressed in simple clothes, like any ordinary person. I am not commander anymore, she said. I retired this morning. Retired? But the assembly needs you. The assembly has many good leaders now, Hana said. Bora will take my place. She is stronger than I ever was. And smarter. Junho did not know what to say. Hannah had been their leader for so long. She had guided them through the return, through the reckoning, through the rebuilding. What will you do now? He asked. Hannah watched the children play. A human girl was teaching an alien boy how to throw a ball. They were laughing at his clumsy attempts. I want to teach, she said. I want to tell children about Earth, about our history, about why peace is better than war. She turned to look at Junho with warm eyes. I have spent my whole life preparing for conflict. I trained to fight. I planned battles. I studied how to destroy our enemies. But I never learned how to live in peace. I want to learn that now. Junho nodded slowly. He understood. They had all been warriors for so long. They had forgotten what it meant to be anything else. And you? Hannah asked. What will you do? Junho had not thought about it. He had always assumed he would serve in the military forever. But now, looking at the children playing, he felt something change inside him. "Maybe I will become a gardener," he said with a small laugh. "I would like to grow things instead of destroying them." Hannah laughed too. It was a genuine laugh, free from the weight of command. She sounded young again. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Junho asked suddenly. "Not taking revenge, I mean. Many of our people still want the council species to suffer." Hannah thought about the question carefully. It was something she had asked herself many times. "I think about my ancestors," she said finally. "Admiral Doan, who died fighting to give us a chance. General Yuna, who led the survivors into the darkness. The first Hannah, who built the ships that saved us." She pointed at the children. I asked myself, what would they want? Would they want us to become killers? Would they want us to spend our lives in hatred? Or would they want us to live? To laugh? To love? To build something beautiful? Junho watched the children. The human girl had fallen down, and the alien boy was helping her up. They were both smiling. "I think they would want this," Junho said quietly. "Yes," Hannah agreed. "I think so too." As the sun set, more people came to the park. Families from different species spread blankets on the grass. Friends shared food and stories. Somewhere, someone started playing music. For the first time in 4,000 years, humanity was not hiding. They were not planning. They were not waiting. They were simply living in the Hall of Memory. The names of the dead glowed softly in the darkness. They were not forgotten. They would never be forgotten. But they were no longer a reason for hatred. They were a reminder of what had been lost, and a warning of what could be lost again if hatred won. Borath, the former High Speaker, had accepted exile on a small moon far from the center of the galaxy. He spent his days writing a history of the old council, including all its crimes. He wanted future generations to understand what had gone wrong, so they would never repeat the same mistakes. "We were afraid," he wrote. "We were powerful, but we were afraid. And fear made us do terrible things. Let my shame be a lesson. Power without wisdom is destruction. Strength without mercy is cruelty. We had forgotten this. The humans reminded us. And for that, despite everything, I am grateful." General Krell VII was not as wise. He had refused to accept the new order and had tried to start a rebellion. His own people had stopped him. They were tired of war. They wanted peace. Krell now sat in a cell, alone with his hatred, waiting for a trial that would be fair, even though he deserved none. The former slaves had found new homes. Some returned to their original planets. Others built new lives on new worlds. Many chose to work alongside humans, grateful for their freedom and eager to help build the new galaxy. Dr. Taiho, in his new role as peacekeeping commander, rarely used force. When conflicts arose, he sent mediators instead of soldiers. When species disagreed, he brought them together to talk instead of fight. The weapons he had built gathered dust in warehouses. He hoped they would stay there forever. Years passed. Then decades. Then centuries. Humanity spread across the galaxy once more. But this time, they were not alone. They worked together with other species, sharing knowledge and resources. They built new worlds and explored new frontiers. They discovered wonders that no one had imagined. The memory of the great crime faded from pain into history. The names on the memorial wall became ancestors rather than ghosts. Children learned about Earth the way they learned about any ancient civilization, with respect and curiosity rather than anger. 1,000 years after the return, a young human girl named Hannah stood before the memorial wall. She was the 33rd person to carry that name, descended from the scientist who had saved humanity so long ago. "Teacher," she asked, "why do we still come here every year?" Her teacher, an old human man named Siok, knelt beside her. "We come to remember," he said gently. "But it happened so long ago. Nobody alive today was there." Siok nodded. "That is true. But if we forget the past, we might repeat it. We remember so that we can choose to be better." The little girl looked at the wall of names. There were so many. Too many to count. Were we really almost gone? She asked. "Yes," Siok said. "We were almost gone forever. But we survived. And we chose to build instead of destroy. That is why we are here now." The girl was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. "I am glad we survived," she said. "I like existing." Siok laughed and ruffled her hair. "Me too, little one. Me too." Outside, the galaxy turned slowly. Stars were born and died. Empires rose and fell. But the assembly endured. And at its heart, humanity stood not as conquerors or judges, but as guardians and builders. They had been given a second chance. They had used it well. And somewhere in the space between stars, the spirits of 12 billion humans watched their children thrive. They watched them laugh and love and create. They watched them choose peace over war, forgiveness over revenge, hope over hatred. And they were proud. The silence had been broken, and the song of humanity would never end.